Do you like the show and you want to make your own? Well, let me tell you about Anchor. It's free. They're creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And now you can even add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless for what you can create. Now, Anchor is going to distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast. No minimum listenership needed. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, September 22nd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We are going to take your text and phone calls this hour. The text line is open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. The phone line this hour as well, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Coming up in the next few minutes, we're going to hear from Marshall soccer coach Chris Grassie. His squad, number 4 in the latest United Soccer Coaches Top 25, will be facing off against the West Virginia Mountaineers. It is Sun Belt Conference play in Huntington, and that's going to be a fun one coming up on Saturday. So the head coach himself is going to talk to us. We're going to preview that matchup and a little bit more. So looking forward to catching up with Chris Grassie ahead of, I think, probably we're going to see a full house for that one. I know Marshall's playing football, taking on Troy, but I think there's going to be a full house for Marshall and West Virginia on Saturday. So look for a lot of people trying to get in, and just another reason why I think you're going to see some eventual upgrades, maybe to seating capacity, or at least game day. I think you're going to see a little bit more, try to get some better seating in there, more permanent. It's going to happen eventually if this keeps up. So Chris Grassie keeping it up. The Herd, a top 5 team, and the Thundering Herd will try to keep that ranking and move up as they'll take on the Mountaineers. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. It's a busy night. So many games to talk about. Of course, the West Virginia Mountaineers taking on Virginia Tech, the Hokies. That is coming up tonight on ESPN at 7:30. So that's going to be a fun one. I'm sure almost all eyes will be on that one tonight. For me, I've got a few options tonight. I'll keep an eye on West Virginia, Virginia Tech. Just want to see how Grant Wells does, if he does okay against the Mountaineers, or if it's going to be a disaster or somewhere in the middle. I'm curious there. And then, of course, I'm not a big Big Ten person, so I'm not that interested, even though it's Tennessee-Chattanooga. I'm probably more interested in Tennessee-Chattanooga than Illinois, but as a whole, that's kind of low on my watch list priority. Coastal Carolina at Georgia State. That's coming up tonight, 7:30. I want to see that a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll probably watch a little bit more of that one than I would West Virginia, Virginia Tech, only because I just want to keep an eye on what's happening in the Sun Belt. That's, West Virginia, Virginia Tech is definitely the bigger game tonight across the board in college football. You don't get to see these two teams go at it very often these days, and it's going to be a while before West Virginia and Virginia Tech get back at it again. So take it in as you can. Mountaineers taking on Virginia Tech. Hopefully, I'll say it. I will say it. I'll go on the record and say it. I want West Virginia to win. I'll take the Mountaineers over Virginia Tech. Sure, I will. I like Grant Wells. Don't get me wrong. I like Grant Wells, but I'll take West Virginia over Virginia Tech. No problem making that decision, and I'll make it every single time. So I'll take the Mountaineers over the Hokies tonight. I'm looking at Coastal Carolina probably beating Georgia State tonight. That's going to be a fun one. I really don't have any interest in Tennessee, Chattanooga, Illinois, even though I would probably watch just to see how Tennessee, Chattanooga is doing. And tonight you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. I'm rooting for the tie tonight. I'm hoping for a tie that it ends scoreless. I'm hoping for a scoreless tie tonight between these two teams. I'm not going to get that. But that's our game tonight. We've got it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns. And we're going to have all those Thursday night games for you because, again, not everybody's got Amazon Prime. So what's the best way to follow this game? And you know the answer. It's keep it locked on your radio. So after the Charles Huff Show tonight, keep it locked in. We'll have Pittsburgh and Cleveland. They're about to kick off about maybe 8:15 for that one tonight. So you're not going to miss anything. If you're tuning in tonight for the Charles Huff Show, stick around afterwards. We'll have the game for you. Or if you're going to be out tonight, keep it locked on the radio. We'll have the game for you. A lot of other things happening today as far as college football is concerned. Did you hear the NCAA placed LSU's football program on 1-year probation? It determined that former offensive line coach James Craig violated recruiting restrictions during the 2020 football season. The infraction was that in-person contact with a prospective recruit during the COVID-19 pandemic. Also provided improper inducements to a recruit. There's also a 3-year show cause penalty against Craig, meaning if he was hired by another institution, his recruiting activities would be restricted. Basically, what the committee said, and this is the Division I Committee on Infractions, said that the COVID-19 recruiting dead period was intended to protect the health and safety of prospects, student-athletes, and institutional staff. It also leveled the playing field for recruiting at a time when government-imposed COVID-19 restrictions varied across the country. So I think that's a fair ruling. 1-year probation. I know we're in the age of name, image, and likeness, and it feels like the wild, wild west out there. But you got to be smarter about all of this. So the show cause, I'm always a big fan of the show cause. Like not only is there a penalty, there's if this guy, you can hire him, but you better show cause. You better have a good reason. I mean, that's the kind of penalty that I would think would deter this activity. You would think it would deter this activity, but we see it out there all the time. We're also keeping an eye on Marshall women's soccer in action against Arkansas State, and it's at the half right now, and Arkansas State leads 1-0 over the women. So we'll hopefully see a second-half score feature the Herd on top. We'll try to keep track of that as the hour goes. A lot of other action happening tonight. We'll talk about it later. Volleyball is going to be back in action, so always got to talk about that. We will talk to Chris Grassie here in a few minutes, get his thoughts on the upcoming matchup between Marshall and West Virginia. And I want to get your text in. The text line is open. I know it's a Thursday night. You're probably running around trying to figure out, what am I doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? Am I going to the convenience store? I got to get some last-second snacks. We got a lot of college football tonight. West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina, Georgia State. Okay, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Illinois. Or is it Thursday night football for you? What are you watching tonight? Or what are you listening to? Are you going to listen to the Steelers and the Browns? Are you going NFL or NCAA? Let me know. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. NFL or NCAA? And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get more people tonight in this audience. You surprised me. But I'm going to say it's a split between, at least in this audience, Steelers, Browns, and Coastal Carolina, Georgia State. I think that's going to be the split, but you can surprise me. Again, it's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Chris Grassie is coming up on the other side of the break. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our text line is open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. 82.5. We're going to open that back up for you here in just a few minutes. But first, we want to turn our attention to what's coming up this weekend. It's the West Virginia Derby. It's Marshall, West Virginia University, and the Thundering Herd is fourth on Ladies United Soccer Coaches Top 25 poll, which came out on Tuesday. And let's talk to the head coach himself, Chris Grassie. I know you're excited for this. We've talked about this before. This is something that you have definitely wanted to see grow and grow. And I think we've gotten to the point now where you're going to get, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 probably at the stadium on Saturday?
I think that's the demand maybe, but I think we'll probably only be able to fit about 3,000 into the venue.
3,000 is pretty good, though. That's still pretty good.
It'll be jammed to the rafters, yeah.
You been happy so far with everything that's changed? I know there's been a few tweaks, changes, trying to make game day a little bit better, accommodate more fans. Pretty happy so far? I know that's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, I think it's been great improvements. We've got to kind of improve what we can when we can. So, the signage boards just make the facility look a little bit more professional, but also kind of give us a nice barrier, for the fans to bang on and give us a bit of definition so we can put a few more fans in those spaces. So I've really enjoyed that. Obviously, the VIP tent has been a big hit, and we've got half-price beers while teams are warming up on Saturday. So that's a big. There's lots of little things, and I think the attention to detail has been sort of ramped up, and I think everything. Obviously, there's big plans to expand the stadium and increase the facilities and make the experience that much better and different options. I think we're just slowly but surely working our way there. But I've loved everything this year in terms of we've added extra bleachers, we've added the signage boards. It's a sort of constant improvement.
Now, the match itself is one that is going to probably live up to the hype. We hope that it's exciting as ever. That's what we're shooting for. How's your team handling everything at this point? You had a big match against Kentucky. That's always a one that if you don't get up for, you're on the wrong team. If you can't get up for Kentucky, you don't belong on Marshall soccer. And now you've got West Virginia. How's your team just handling all of this excitement, intensity, or have you got it to the point where it's just business as usual and those are just names on the schedule?
I think that maybe the best thing for this week has been a little bit more business as usual. Obviously, there was the excitement of the game coming up, and everybody understands how big of a game this is for us. But I think with the tie at Kentucky, we felt, we did enough to win the game. I think we scored a legitimate goal that got taken from us. But we didn't play very well. We didn't execute our game plan. And so this week has been about, sort of addressing those concerns of where we messed up tactically, on both sides of the ball, going back to basics about, this is our style of play. We got to, value being on the ball. We got to enjoy being on the ball. We got to not worry about being on the ball, and kind of take our energy from that, getting back to what Marshall soccer is, and the reasons that we've had such success is playing this style of play and drawing our energy from that. And I think that performance at Kentucky has made this week a little bit more humbling and a little bit more, let's just go back to basics. Let's work really hard in training. Let's, have some players have some opportunity now to step up and maybe get some more game time or get a start. And, we'll have a little bit of rotation within the starting group. And I think all of that is great, for overall for a team. And that's really helped, I think, with this week, just the preparation, just addressing some of our concerns from the Kentucky match has made it very, very much business as usual.
Well, I think the pollsters believed you won because you went from being number 7 to number 4. Kentucky went from number 6 to 5. So they got a little credit for playing you tough, and you got a lot more credit for playing them tough. Yeah. Have you seen that before? I don't think I've seen that recently in a poll where you start 7th, you go to a draw, and then you come out on top of that team higher in the poll.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing now about sort of the statistics, I think our XG, which is our expected goal measure. So they basically have every shot you take has a 0 to 100% chance of going in based on statistical values of every shot in soccer that they've analysed. So that our XG, our chances of scoring, was actually double Kentucky's. And I think so many schools now have access to all that information, like the additional stats from professional stats companies, more than just like scorekeepers, at each individual university. So even if they just looked at that, they would think, okay, we had the better of the game. I think a lot of people watched that game. It was an exciting game on Friday night if teams weren't playing. And so I think our performance, and sometimes look, our history as well. It's like, we've got a really successful very recent history. So I think we maybe get the benefit of the doubt as well a little bit with that. So I think also playing into it is, we went away. So we went to their place and we outshot them and, had better chances and should have won the game and tied at their place. So that kind of gives us the edge a little bit in people's minds. There's a lot more, with getting rid of overtime, there's a lot more draws and ties this year. So I think people taking away tie is sort of the nod goes to the traveling team. And I think all of those factors kind of played into us getting the jump.
Chris Grassie is with me, head coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd. Soccer is in action this week, taking on West Virginia. As we mentioned, game against Kentucky, which I think everyone got up for and is excited for. Sun Belt so far. What's your evaluation of the league? I know you got a lot of familiar faces, so it's not as if you're in a brand new landscape with strange teams, but what's your impression so far as you've seen the Sun Belt come to fruition as a men's soccer league this year?
Yeah, I mean it's good. I think we've got a couple of teams who maybe were expected to be up, who are struggling right now, but I think will come good by the end of the season. And then we've got, it looks like ODU have had a couple of down years. It looks like they may be back on the upswing. And then obviously South Carolina, they had a new coach 2 years ago, and I feel like they've just gone from strength to strength every year. And maybe not like a national contender right now, but I think they're definitely edging that way to be one. So Georgia State, still undefeated. You got Kentucky, you've got us. Obviously WVU haven't performed results-wise. They've been the better team in the majority of games they've played. I'd say probably all but one, which I think was very even, but they haven't had the results. That's just sometimes the nature of our sport. But I think it's shaping up to be an exciting conference, and I'm hoping, we can get, 4 or 5 teams in come the end of the season. We just have to have maybe some of that sort of middle group in our conference just kind of finish strong, going through the end of September and through October to kind of give us the cachet nationally, to have, 4 or 5 teams in the tournament in our first year. But I think it's still so early, still all to play for. And I think we'll see, hopefully, like I said, that, ourselves and Kentucky and WVU and Georgia State look like we should be, or good enough to be in the tournament at the end, and then hopefully we can get one more team in there.
I think it says something. You look at the top 10, not just the top 25. You look at the top 10, and right there, you're right there. Kentucky's right there, and this, even though there are a lot of familiar teams, this is a new conference. This is a new soccer conference. That's just started back up. So I think that says a lot about at least the respect that the league's getting. Where you're 4, Kentucky's 5, and it's Sun Belt soccer. I think you're onto something here. This might be one of the premier. Once it's all said and done, this might be one of the premier soccer leagues in college sports.
Yeah, I think 100%. That was the goal of putting it together, and I think the conference administration itself have been amazing. Kathy Keene at the conference, just setting things up, the schedule, the tournament structure, teams that get in the tournament, our rest recovery cycles, which matches. They've really taken on board everything that's important to us as coaches and everything that we think we need to be a top conference. And now it'll be down to the individual teams. We have the perfect setup, we have the perfect environment, we have very competitive schedule, very good teams in it. Now it'll be down to each individual institution to support their program and their coach to kind of get their teams, into that upper echelon and into the NCAA tournament on a regular basis. But I think that the structure is there, the competition is there, the prestige, a reward for being in this conference is there. So I think we have all of the hallmarks of a great conference. Now we just is each individual coach and institution have to take care of that.
Chris Grassie's with me ahead of the Mountain State Derby coming up on Saturday, Marshall, West Virginia. I meant to ask you, how gracious are you as a head coach to at least allow some different players to have offensive and defensive player of the week awards in this league? I mean, you look at the list, and every week I'm sitting there going, okay, who from Marshall is going to be on the list? This is the first time I haven't seen anyone there. You got to be pretty excited, though, just about the way that your team has been playing week in and week out, not just as a team, but also some of the standout performances. With Oliver, with Milo. I mean, the list goes on and on. You probably can list them better than I could as far as how happy you are.
Yeah, no, it's great to see those guys get reward. It was great to see Ryan Holmes get Defensive Player of the Week. Last week, young guy, sort of local kid. He's sort of a local hero who's doing really, really well, and kind of rising to every challenge we set him. Obviously, Matthew Bell sort of won it with his goals the other day, and he's probably the leading goal scorer in the country right now. Milo, obviously, we know All-American. Just a standout performer himself. Ollie at the back, and the problem with those individual awards is it's a team game, right? So somebody has to pass the ball to Milo for him to score. Somebody has to pass the ball to Matthew for him to score. We have to defend well as a team for Ollie to get that award, and it could have went to Ollie. It could have went against after the Pitt game. It could have went to Gabby. Gabby Alves had an unbelievable game at left back, and our defenders played well. So it really could go to anybody, and that's the thing I like about the individual awards is it almost represents, it's a little nod to your whole team, at that time of the season. Unfortunately, we have these individual awards that, All-American and All-Conference and All-Region and top goal scorer, but, nobody scores goals alone. Nobody defends, nobody keeps a shutout alone. It's a team effort always. And as long as our guys, who win those awards, as long as they know and give credit to their teammates, I'm more than happy to take the publicity.
Chris Grassie is with me, head coach of the Marshall soccer team. It's coming up on Saturday. It's pretty exciting. Marshall, West Virginia. You're making it hard on everybody, though. You want to keep an eye on football, but I don't know. This might be the bigger one. Don't tell Coach Huff I said that, but I think this might be the bigger of all the Marshall matches going on, events on Saturday. This is the bigger one, I would think. Don't tell Coach Huff that.
100%.
Yeah, I don't want him mad at me, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah, 100%. Marshall WVU, that's the biggest ticket now. I think that's why football schedule could go away, just so they could focus on, not get caught up in all of the excitement of the event.
I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a fun match on Saturday, and then it doesn't get any easier for you. Let's just be honest here. You gotta figure out how to bottle up all that energy after Saturday and then take it down to Coastal Carolina. I know you can't really look that far ahead. I can, but as you mentioned, top to bottom here, this is a pretty good league, and you don't have a really bad game on the schedule. Usually, you want to have an easy one on the schedule. Not you. You don't have anything easy on the schedule.
No, I think we're just focusing on this WVU game, right? This was, if you look at the beginning of the year, we had Butler, Big East team, we had Pitt here at home, which was a huge game. We had, Kentucky away, which was a huge game. And then, usually VCU, I think, are usually a little bit better than they showed against us. I'm sure they'll get their program going. But we kind of had some big games, but there was no bigger game on the schedule than this WVU game at home, just for the event it is, the Mountain State Derby that it is, the conference, two top teams in the conference pre-season. So everything was kind of leading to this. And I wouldn't say like Coastal will get a little bit easier, but our focus is, we know if we win this game, we look through, August and September, and we can be really proud of where we're at, and we'll put ourselves in a great position to be in the top 5 of the country come the seeding time for the NCAA tournament, as long as we can handle business, down the road. And that's the rest of the games coming out are just conference games. So it's not just conference games, but we have only a couple of non-conference games in there, but the majority of games are conference games. And as you mentioned before, conference is tough. It's some good soccer. We have to go away to Coastal, and they had a bad result yesterday, so I'm sure they're going to be trying to avenge that a little bit when we go down and play there. But we're just going to focus right now on the biggest game of our season, which is WVU right now.
Chris Grassie's with me. It's Saturday, Hoops Family Field. It's going to be fun. Hopefully you're going to have long lines of people who are trying to jam-pack the field to get in there, and then you can just, we can just take all those photos and just say, okay, when are we putting the new seats in? When are we putting the expansion in, right? That's the plan.
That's the plan. We'll have like a T-shirt giveaway for the first, 400 people that come. We'll have off-price beer, happy hour, there's big tailgates going around the facility. It should be an amazing time. And then when we pack it, we can really see, okay, this is where we need to expand. This is why we need to expand. We can continue to grow this event and this fun time that can be had at a soccer game. My wife always says soccer's great. It's 90 minutes and then it's done. You don't have to sit around for timeouts and as the game gets delayed in the last few minutes. It's just it's going to be 90 minutes and you can get out there. So we know we have some scheduled fun every Saturday or every other Saturday here.
I appreciate you doing this again. We'll get you back soon, and let's hope for a fun time on Saturday for everyone at Hoops Family Field, and that this turns out to be the big event that we all know it's going to be.
Sounds good, Paul. Thanks for having me on.
Chris Grassie, head coach of the Marshall men's soccer team. We'll keep up with him as this is coming up on Saturday. So if you're not leaving town, you're not on the road to Troy, then I have already got your plans made for you. You hopefully will be here at Hoops Family Field. We'll get your phone calls and text in. We're starting to line those up, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive. It's Thursday, September 22nd. Tonight, we've got Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns. It is Thursday night football. 8:15 going to be first kick. We go on the air with it at 8 o'clock. And that's because before that, it's the Charles Huff Show, 7 to 8 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So your final chance to get a word from the herd and the head coach himself as the Thundering Herd hitting the road to take on the Troy Trojans. And we'll have that game for you as well on Saturday. So looking forward to a fun day of football tonight and on Saturday. I asked you earlier because there are a lot of games tonight. Some good games as well. Not just games, good games. Mountaineers taking on Virginia Tech. I'm taking the Mountaineers in this one. I know that's going to give me that's going to hit my street cred with some of you. But that's fine. I'll take the Mountaineers. Coastal Carolina at Georgia State. That should be a fun one. Sun Belt action tonight on a Thursday, and then of course if you're into the Big Ten, Tennessee Chattanooga at Illinois. I mean, let's be honest. Let's rank the priority here. I'm going to say NFL 1, Pittsburgh at Cleveland, Mountaineers, Hokies 2. This is just the overall scheme of things here. This flips if you just do end state. It's Mountaineers, Hokies 1, Steelers, Browns 2. But I think the general consensus is NFL 1, Mountaineers, Hokies 2. Coastal, Georgia State 3, and Tennessee, Chattanooga, Illinois 4 is my internal ranking of this one. Honestly, for me, though, it's probably going to be Coastal, Georgia State 1, WVU, Virginia Tech 2. Usually I'm the NFL guy, and I would have taken Pittsburgh, Cleveland 1, but it's Pittsburgh, Cleveland. So I've got the radio. I can listen into it. So that's kind of my rankings here. I don't like the Steelers and I don't like the Browns. You all know that. And you still love me for it, so I appreciate it. Texter writes in, even though I'm a Browns fan, college football trumps NFL every time. Looking forward to watching some Sunbelt action in Grant Wells picking apart WVU. Two things could happen here. It could be Grant Wells picking apart WVU. This is me now. Grant Wells picking apart WVU, or WVU picking off Grant Wells. One of those two things will happen. I don't know if there's going to be a combination of both. Grant Wells picking apart the Mountaineers defense and then they get lucky now and then. I think it's going to be one or the other. Either he picks them apart or they pick him off. I don't think there's any medium ground here. We're going to have either, what Grant Wells are we going to see tonight? We'll find out. That is coming up tonight. Should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that. You can chime in as well. Text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You want to be a part of the program, the text line is always there for you. And don't forget, we've got the game coming up tonight following the Coach Huff Show right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Steelers and the Browns. Where are you going tonight with this? You all in on college football Thursday night, or are you Thursday night football through and through with the NFL? Let me know. Comments coming up, 304-396-TALK. It is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our text line continues to be open. That's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I'm your host, Paul Swann. This is The Drive. We do it every day here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're open for business Monday through Friday, 5 to 6. We're keeping an eye on the Marshall women in action soccer team taking on Arkansas State. And right now, 82:30 on the clock. Arkansas State leads the Herd 2-1. Herd got on the board in the second, tied it up. Bailey Fisher got on the board. Morgan White with the assist. And then about 14 minutes later, Arkansas State would get back on the board to make it a 2-1 advantage for Arkansas State. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Thundering Herd on the road taking on Arkansas State. Texter writes in, Paul, you're right. Grant does get picked apart often. We saw that several times during his time at Marshall. I am hoping he can avoid the picks tonight and lead the Hokies to victory. So we're rooting for the Hokies over the Mountaineers. Am I hearing that right from you? Is that where we're going here tonight? That's what the text lines tell me. I think West Virginia wins this one. I get a pass, right, for picking the Mountaineers over Virginia Tech. I get a pass, right? I mean, I'm a native. I was born here in the state. I didn't go to WVU, but I get a pass on that, right? Do I get absolved for that for some of you? Or are you just completely not going to let me have that and just say, no, you can't? You can't do that. You're not allowed. I mean, is that the rule? Is that the rule? That Grant Wells, former Marshall quarterback, I got to take Virginia Tech. The texters are writing in, go Hokies. Okay, all right, I knew that was going to happen. We got a Hokie crowd in this one tonight. The game tonight, 7:30 on ESPN. Of course, we got the Charles Huff Show coming up from 7 to 8 here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And then after that, we have got Thursday night football. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns. I am rooting for the tie, a scoreless tie. I don't want any touchdown plays. I don't want field goals. I just want the 3 and out the entire game. Okay, maybe I want an exciting game just for the fact that we've got the game on the radio. But other than that, I want a tie. That's what I want. Every time you have two teams in the AFC North go at it, I want a tie, except when it's the Bengals. That's what I want. Texter writes in, go Browns. Texter, I think WVU will win tonight, but I'm pulling for Virginia Tech. Okay, I mean, that's a fair compromise. You think that the Mountaineers will win. I think the Mountaineers will win tonight. I'm taking the Mountaineers. But you're pulling for Virginia Tech. Is it because they're playing the Mountaineers or because you like Grant Traylor? I like Grant Traylor, too. He works for the Herald-Dispatch. I'm thinking of Grant Wells. I just confused the sports editor of the Herald-Dispatch with the quarterback of Virginia Tech. I own that one. Both really nice Grants. I like them both. One of them is going to let me not live that down. I don't know which one it is. But yeah, I like the former quarterback of the Thundering Herd, Grant Wells. I like Grant. So are you pulling for Virginia Tech because you like Grant as well, or are you pulling for Virginia Tech because you don't like WVU? I need to know where you're at. Texter writes in, never root for WVU. Go Grant and go Hokies. Okay. All right. I see where this audience is at today. Never root for WVU. Now, I didn't say I was rooting for WVU. I just said I'm taking the Mountaineers. I'm picking the Mountaineers. I don't think that helps my street cred with you. I think if I say I'm taking the Mountaineers, that translates into I'm rooting for WVU. And I know there are a few out there right now that would love to sway me over to I don't know if it's the dark side or it's the blue and gold side. I know there are some of you out there that would like to sway me over to that side. And my question to you is, are there cookies? Okay. More of your texts coming in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Coach Huff Show coming up tonight. We'll have it for you. Following that, we'll have Pittsburgh and Cleveland, where I will never root for the Steelers or the Browns in anything. Nothing. Anything. You know, my favorite scene of the movie, it was the Batman movie with, The Dark Knight? That was the one where they filmed in Pittsburgh. And my favorite scene is when then Heinz Field imploded. That was my favorite scene from that movie, just to tell you something. Of course, this is being played in Cleveland tonight. And I can't root for any one of these teams. I can't root for Baltimore. I can't root for Pittsburgh. I can't root for Cleveland. Nothing in this. No, this is just, it's wrong. But the good news is I know Steelers fans and I know Browns fans. So one of those groups of people that I'm friends with will be a little miserable tomorrow. And I will, as my Bengals are 0-2, I will enjoy their tears briefly tomorrow, as one of them will got to lose unless there's a tie, which I'm kind of pulling for, to be honest with you. Still, I'm pulling for the tie. What do we got tomorrow? Tomorrow's high school football. We're going to be back at it tomorrow. We got high school football. We're going to have, it's a little late. I'm sorry, it's a little late. We've been pretty busy this week. I've got the Drive Power 5. It's coming out tomorrow. I'll tell you this. Spring Valley's number one team in the Drive Power 5. We're going to bring that out tomorrow. That might be a Friday feature. I know we were thinking about doing the high school rankings every week, starting out the week with it, but we got so much with Marshall, and throughout the week we've got Marshall and availabilities here. I don't want to have it just get buried on a Tuesday. So our in-house show rankings for area high school football, the Drive Power 5, I think that's going to be a Friday feature. It's either going to be a Thursday or Friday feature. We'll figure it out, but that's coming out tomorrow. We'll have those rankings, and then we'll get you set for area high school football in the tri-state. We'll tell you where you need to go to listen to your favorite team or to watch your favorite team. We got a couple of games in our Kindred Digital Game of the Week, co-games of the week. So we'll update you on all that. And then after the game here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930, we have got High School Game Night. My good friend Fred Persinger is the host of that, and he'll get you updated with scores across the state of West Virginia. Texter writes in, good show, Paul. Understand you are on radio, but I am not a WVU fan. My two favorite teams are the Herd and anyone playing WVU. Hope the Bengals improve but don't beat the Browns. Go Herd, BWVU on the pitch Saturday night. Let's break this down. Not a WVU fan. So your favorite teams are the Herd, anyone playing WVU, okay? Which pretty much sums up the majority of this audience here. And hope the Bengals improve, but don't beat the Browns. And I think that's a fair mix of this audience. Because I think it goes, because it's me, Bengals, Steelers, Browns, and any combination with the Bengals probably being the one that prevails the most. Bengals, Steelers, Browns, Steelers. Any team that Tom Brady is the quarterback for, I think it goes that way. Any team that Tom Brady's the quarterback for. The Green Bay Packers. I think that's a fair statement. I don't think there's any any really interest for Washington in this audience. I know one guy, but. And then, is there any love for Vegas, maybe, West Coast teams? I'm not so sure. But I think it's got to be in-house evaluation of you. It's Bengals, Steelers, Browns, or Browns, Steelers, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, the rest of the NFL. That's going to do it for this edition. Coming up tonight, 7:05 airtime, it's the Charles Huff Show. He'll get you caught up on the plans this weekend for Troy, as the Herd is heading to Alabama for the final road game of this 3-game road series. 3 games straight on the road. The Herd's going to wrap that up, come back next week, and take on Gardner-Webb. So Coach is going to get us caught up on everything up to this point. And then after that, we have got it for you. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. It is Thursday night football. Keep it locked in right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, have a great night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.